Cate, you can come up and join me on this virtual stage, pop your camera on, and allow me to pass the microphone over to you as you kick off day 2 of the Women in Business Summit.
Thank you, Allie. I am really excited to be here. I had the opportunity yesterday to speak on the Conscious Consumerism panel, and it was great to be with founders like Alexis and Kala and being interviewed by Erica. So what's really interesting is I looked at those 2 charts that Allie just put up there, and I'm still feeling a lot of those. And yet, even though last year we were in the midst and the beginning of a pandemic, when I started my company 2.5 years ago, I was feeling all of those just the same. So I think as entrepreneurs, founders, small business owners, whether you're 25 years in business or just starting your business, you go on this emotional roller coaster, and all of those emotions, you kind of feel like, I feel like them once every single day, if not more. So I'm here to talk about risk taking, but let me back it up a minute and tell you about me. My name is not synonymous with anything other than I am a new entrepreneur. I spent 20 years, almost 20 years in corporate and investment banking, and several years before that in tech, really building businesses within companies like JP Morgan, Bank of America, HSBC. Was super focused on creating a career, creating an opportunity and a career path for me in banking that I really never thought that I would have. But jumping into the banking role that I was recruited into, I immediately had to start taking risks. And throughout that career, in those 20 years, I took so many risks. I moved to different countries, I moved to different companies, and I moved around the businesses really to get experience and understand how I could continue to build my skill sets. Fast forward 20 years, I decided that I was sick and tired of it taking so long for us to advance women in the workforce, not just in the corporate workforce, but also women in entrepreneurship and women in transition. I was tired of not seeing the numbers move fast enough. And so 2.5 years ago, almost 3, I decided to leave my stable job, like probably many of you, take a massive risk on myself. And about 1.5 months after I left my job, not 100% knowing what I was going to do, I just knew that I wanted to have more impact, I wrote a business plan for Luminary. 9 months later, we opened our doors. That's a very fast timeline to get a business opened. I had a couple of things on my side. One, I was used to taking risks and knew that I was taking a biggest risk was on myself. There was a market gap, and I'll tell you a little bit about Luminary if you don't know us in a minute. And I wanted to be the one that could fill that gap. I had 20 plus years of management and leadership experience, and I had saved a ton of money that allowed me to self-fund this business. I didn't have to go and knock on investor doors. That's a privilege that I have. Not all business owners have that. And yet I'm still taking a massive risk in putting my own money into the company that I am building. Luminary, as I mentioned, was born out of this need to really democratize access for women, no matter your professional journey. Women in the workforce, women in entrepreneurship, and women in transition. How do we create a real community that's intentional, that's purposeful, that's diverse and open to all versus just one? Luminary was born on the fact that we need access to programming and content. We need business resources. We need tools to continue to advance who we are and get to that definition of success, whatever that definition is, and it means to you, not me. So we are a global now membership inclusive platform for career and professional growth, expanding your networks, and really bring together and convene women, but also not excluding men. And that's very important. We need men, no matter what we're doing, on our side, around the table, helping us achieve our goals. This cannot be done just by us. It's gotta be a collective effort. And so Luminary launched in early 2019 as a physical space here in New York City. I'm actually in it today. And it was really about bringing women together, programming, content. We held workshops every single week and events and wonderful partnerships with companies and organizations like Female Founder Collective. It was amazing. We did more than 200 events and workshops in the first year. We were open, we were growing our membership, we worked with both individuals and corporates. 14 months into it, pandemic hits. There were two main struggles that I have faced in the past 2.5 years that we've been open. Number one was opening, and number two was the pandemic. So let's talk a little bit about the struggle and how risk-taking played into that. Starting a business on your own when there are a lot of naysayers is so hard, right? You know you have a great business and a great idea and you're going to do it. But then you have naysayers, you have financing issues, you have what's the market? Is it saturated? What does the competitive landscape look like? It can be super overwhelming, and it is. And so overcoming all of that was hard. But I knew that there was one person that I could count on in making sure this business was going to succeed, and that was me. I knew that I had the right business plan, the right financials, and the right roadmap to execution. So that risk-taking was extremely calculated in how I could do it. 14 months in, those risks were paying off. We were doing great. If any of you are members of Luminary, we were building, we were growing, we were really creating impact. Pandemic hits. What do? Now, we were backed against the wall, and like many of you, regardless of pandemic, may also feel backed against the wall at certain times in your business journey. Whether you've left, you're a side hustler, you're trying to fundraise, you're looking at financing, backed against the wall, what could I do? I came out swinging. And we knew to be there for our members and our community that we had been growing and growing, and certainly in the midst of pandemic, we had to go online overnight, and we did. So taking a physical space in New York City and putting it online overnight was no small feat in itself. It took a team, and I have an incredible one, to do that. Why did I do that? Why did I take the risk to take? I could have just said, let's see how this plays out. I knew we had to be there for our members and be there for those that were struggling, business owners, women in corporate, working moms. And oh boy, have we seen that in the past year. Taking that risk, feeling like you're backed against the wall and coming out swinging was the only way I knew how to do it. All of those years in corporate America, that's who I was. I came out swinging. I knew that I could bet on myself. I knew that I had a great business. And so that's what we did. It played a huge part. It continues to play a huge part in how we're continuing to create the business that we're leading today. Luminary is now global. We have members, thousands of members around the world from all over and all different walks of life. We also have more than 40 plus corporate members. So for me, I look at failure and risk-taking as kind of synonymous, right? To me, failure is not an option. And when I say that, I don't mean that in jest. I mean, every single time you as a business owner or whatever you're doing, you're a mom, you're caring for elderly parents, whatever that is, you fall down. We all fall down, but you've got to get back up, brush yourself off, and walk it off. Keep going. I learned that from when I was a little girl from my dad, when I was getting pushed around by the boys, including my brothers. And he said, if you don't get up and keep going, you will fail. And for me, giving up is what failure is. And I will not give up. I know that we are building something incredible, just like you all know. From when you started this business, you are creating something incredible. You are filling a gap. How do you do that? How do you come out swinging? How do you keep taking risks? I call it the resiliency roadmap, right? The who, what, and how. Who, what is the network you're leaning into? Not leaning on, but leaning into. Are you talking to your advisors? Are you talking to mentors? Are you talking to your consumers, your customers, in our case, members? Understand what they want, right? That who, ask for help, ask for feedback. That who is so important to this resiliency roadmap, to staying focused, to being resilient, to persevering, no matter if there's a pandemic or not, no matter if you've lost a customer, you've got to stay focused. The what, the business tools, the resources, the community that you have access to. This summit is a great example. Keep asking for help. Keep tapping into those resources. Keep going. Keep going. And then third, the how, right? Keep your head up. Don't put your head down. Don't do what we've always been told by society. Keep your head up, put your hand up, and ask for help. You are here to stay. I am here to stay. The risks that I have taken are not because I want to be gone in a year or let a pandemic throw me down. I am here to stay. And when you're backed into a corner, come out swinging. Lock arms with that community that you're a part of, those other business owners, your teams, your customers. Lock arms and come out together. We cannot do this alone. More than 25% of women-owned businesses have closed in the last year. I personally, Luminary, doesn't want to see another one close. And so the risks that I'm taking, the risks that I take every single day, just like you, are to be here in 5 and 10 years, creating impact, having a successful and a profitable business, a sustainable business. And so for me, it's all about learning to adapt, evolve, roll with the punches, and keep focused on that resiliency roadmap, and you will make it. Allie, over to you.
Hey, that was amazing. I loved everything you said. I could just recite the last 10 minutes back to you, but I love how you said that the number one person you knew you could depend on was you. And it's so important for all of us to remember that we can depend on ourselves as the movers and shakers of our lives, of brands, of businesses. I also love your emphasis on perseverance as part of the resiliency roadmap. We all need to, we needed that reminder in anything that we do. So thank you so much for your wisdom, not only today, kicking us off with taking action, but also yesterday on the panel that you were an all-star on. So I'll have you jump down off the virtual stage, but thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Allie.